Good evening. A 35-year-old man is tonight fighting for his life in the Royal Hobart Hospital following a serious quad bike accident near Oatlands. Police were called to the scene in the early hours of this morning. Our reporter Jacqueline Robson has the details.
The 35-year-old man from Woodsdale was airlifted here to the Royal Hobart Hospital after crashing his quad bike at around 1 o'clock this morning. He was travelling along River Road at Tunnock, just south of Oatlands. Police believe the rider was driving at an excessive speed when he failed to negotiate a corner. The rider lost control of his bike, where it rolled several times, coming to rest in a nearby paddock. His condition was so serious the rescue chopper was called in. He remains in that condition here at the Royal tonight. Police are urging those with information to contact Crime Stoppers.
A Tasmanian family has lost everything after a heritage home they were renting went up in flames. Fire crews scrambled to contain the blaze with no water available on site at the Hagley property.
Thick smoke blankets the air above this historic farmhouse in Hagley, the blaze causing the roof to collapse, leaving the property in ruins. Firefighters arriving at the scene on Meander Valley Road shortly after 11 a.m. It took several units more than 3 hours to extinguish the blaze. The job made even harder due to a lack of water supply on the property. Crews having to source it from the main street.
By the time we got here, the fire was coming out through the roof, through the windows, so nothing could be saved.
The home was built in 1884 and was being rented out at the time of the blaze. The property owner says the home has frequently been the target of burglaries. Luckily, no one was home when the fire began.
The rental, she was very distraught about the whole incident because I think she's lost everything. I think after this it'll be demolished. I don't think it'll be repaired.
The Tasmania Fire Service has deemed the blaze to be accidental. The damage bill is $300,000. Tom Johnson, Southern Cross News.
A Tasmanian teenager is celebrating the end of an epic mission. Ollie O'Halloran becoming the youngest person to circumnavigate Australia by plane, solo and unassisted. He's now setting his sights on a much bigger goal.
The final approach at the end of a long journey. 17-year-old Ollie O'Halloran touching down in front of a crowd of supporters at Cambridge Aerodrome this morning. 20 days after he set off from Hobart, finally returning to his mother's arms.
The total was around 80 flying hours, 80 hours of flying up in the air. So yeah, it's quite a trip.
This record-breaking trip covered more than 14,000 kilometres, anti-clockwise around the coast of Australia, stopping to give inspirational talks to students at schools along the way. The only problem, some difficult weather on the Gold Coast and a close call with a flock of birds on the way to Darwin.
We had some birds that came down and flew over the runway as I was about to land, and a few went straight past the windows. That's sort of a bit of a freakish moment.
His family has helped out with the $36,000 bill for the record attempt. For his father, it's money well spent.
Just knowing what he'd done, it was just remarkable. You know. So yeah, it was really, it was quite a deep happiness and pride, and yeah, I was really quite taken back.
While today is the end of Ollie's epic journey around Australia, his next big task is studying for exams next week.
I have taken my books in there. They're in the back, but they haven't been touched for the whole flight.
Exams not the only thing on Ollie's radar. His next goal, circumnavigating the globe.
He did tell us on his trip, he's saying, you know, that's the next thing, Mum. I'm like, let's just land in Hobart, okay? Let's just get home.
Michael Breen, Southern Cross News.
It's official, the Big Bash League is heading to Launceston. A Hobart Hurricanes match will be played at UTAS Stadium on December 30 and the clash is expected to be a sellout.
Following months of speculation, Big Sixers are scheduled for Launceston.
We are Tasmania's only professional team and we regard ourselves as Tasmania's team.
In January, the league announced each franchise would play one game outside of its capital city base. Only now can we be sure Hobart's game will stay in Tasmania.
There's always an element of doubt. You have to make sure it works for all parties. It wasn't just a simple case of us showing up and saying, right, we're ready.
Cricket Tasmania wants it to be a double-header with the Women's Big Bash League, but that needs to be ticked off with broadcasters first. What is certain, the Canes will host more community clinics in the state's north leading up to the clash.
This is something that, as a council, we've been working towards for many, many years. I can remember meetings way back with Cricket Tasmania some 3-4 years ago.
Almost $90,000 will be provided by the state government through Events Tasmania.
The local council wants Launceston to become a permanent fixture beyond this season.
If the public support it, there's no way they could turn it down.
But who the Hurricanes will be playing on December 30 remains up in the air. Tom Johnson, Southern Cross News.
One of Tasmania's most anticipated new luxury hotels has opened its doors to the public today. The multi-million-dollar Mach 1 is the first storytelling hotel in the world, showcasing the state's iconic characters.
It's the latest luxury haunt by the Federal Group, the new Mach 1 on Hobart's waterfront, with stories to tell and people keen to listen.
I'm more interested in coming today as to the storytelling concept.
Today, the doors swung open to the public, offering a glimpse inside the world's first storytelling hotel. Each of the 114 rooms is a look into the life of past and present Tasmanians, an attempt to connect inquisitive guests to place.
They're coming to Tasmania because of the qualities of Tasmania, and that's certainly the market that we want to attract.
A sense of place infused into the hotel's unique design, not just paying guests able to enjoy the storytelling journey with an inclusive restaurant and bar. The excitement of the renowned Federal brand already drawing reservations into 2019.
We've had a good spike over the last couple of days. Interest certainly now, and particularly over Dark Mofo heading into Christmas and already through to the Wooden Boat Festival in 2019.
Additional experiences are also offered. Here at the on-site bar, guests are able to create their own gin using Tasmania's famous McHenry's.
So it's not about just accommodation, which we have to be very, very good at, of course, but it's really about, enhancing the experience and enhancing the understanding of Tasmania.
Rooms start from just over $300 through to high-end luxury suites at $1,200, and it seems the stories are connecting.
Right down to the last detail, it's been absolutely magnificent.
Jacqueline Robson, Southern Cross News.
As the number of visitors to Tasmania's east coast continues to swell, authorities have announced plans to upgrade the Wineglass Bay walking track. The gravel path between the lookout and the beach will be repaired with new edging and the construction and restoration of steps. A record 300,000 people are predicted to visit the Freycinet area this year. Inaccurate kicking cost Burnie a much-needed victory in the TSL. Instead, the Tigers are celebrating their first ever win at West Park, the margin 2 points. Meanwhile, Launceston held off a final quarter fight back from Devonport, and Lauderdale is quickly becoming the team to be feared after upsetting North Launceston.
Few predicted Lauderdale to beat the league's giants, but Darren Winter's men are proven to be the real deal. Alex Harvey got the show started, threading the needle in his side's 6-goal opening term. A response came courtesy of Jay Lockhart, banging this one home from 40 out. But the Northern Bombers were soon scratching their heads after this scramble somehow produced a goal. Sensing trouble, Tom Couch demanded more.
Right, just defensively, we've got to be a bit more aggressive, when they've got the footy.
Brad Cox-Goodger toughed it out in another good performance, but Lauderdale never let up, hanging on to a razor-thin lead until an incredible final term, where Lauderdale got out to 5 goals in front before it was all wound back by North Launceston. But the visitors found a way to hang on by the most narrow margin. At Windsor Park, any fears of an upset were quickly quashed, Launceston racing to a 5-goal lead by the main break. Majors came courtesy of Sonny Whiting and Rulla Kelly Mansell, but Devonport was certainly not shamed. The young side putting in plenty of fight up against the bigger bodies. Mitch Thorpe stood head and shoulders above for the visitors, contributing 3 goals in a best-on performance, but the 4 points belonged to Launceston. Tom Johnson, Southern Cross News.
Hobart is playing host to Australia's best weightlifters this weekend for the 2017 National Weightlifting Championships. The pinnacle event is attracting 160 athletes for the under-20 and open categories.
Queensland's got a team here this weekend, but we have lifters from all over the country here battling it out to try and earn some medals.
Tasmanian lifters Zach Millhouse and Lincoln Bowen were on show today. Millhouse winning silver in his Australian junior event. The competition continues tomorrow.
Good evening. Mostly fine across the state today, with Hobart, Launceston, Burnie and Devonport all reaching a top of 17 degrees. St Helens and Bushy Park were both 17 also. It was 16 at Lowhead, Maria Island, Friendly Beaches, Grove and Flinders Island, 15 at Strawn, and King Island and Lyowini both reached a top of 14. Here we can see a frontal cloud band over Western Australia, with prefrontal cloud extending over southern parts of the mainland. To the east, southeasterly onshore flow producing low cloud, and some high cloud associated with an upper-level jet stream seen in the far north. Over Tasmania, low-level cloud about the west, south and east. Tomorrow, the high over southeastern Australia weakens as the cold front approaches Tasmania. Behind this system, a broad ridge extends over the west of the mainland. West to northwesterly winds 10 to 30 knots, grading to 20 to 30 knots about the southwest. Swells to 3 metres in the west and south. And there's a strong wind warning for southwestern coastal waters between Southeast Cape and Low Rocky Point. Showers for Hobart, Richmond and Ouse tomorrow, all expecting a top of 15. Launceston cloudy and 15 degrees. A shower or two for Devonport, 15. Deloraine, 13. Showers for Burnie and Curry, both 15. Strawn, 13. St Helens partly cloudy with a top of 15, Swansea and Whitemark both 15 also. Taking a look at the week ahead, Monday morning frost and fog with showers developing about the north, west and far south, extending throughout in the evening. Morning showers about the southwest on Tuesday, showers about the southeast and east coast contracting to the northeast and clearing in the afternoon. And fine on Wednesday, apart from showers about the far west. Partly cloudy in Perth tomorrow, looking at a top of 23. Morning frost for Adelaide, 17. Mostly sunny, 23 for Brisbane, 20 for Sydney, and 13 degrees and partly cloudy for Melbourne. And right now in Hobart, it's 13 degrees and cloudy. Launceston, 8 and clear. Devonport, 9 and clear. That's all of the weather. Thanks, Rach.
Thanks for that, Britt. Well, that's all your news for now. Thanks for joining us. Have a great evening. Good night.